This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, this is about the Jira board usually, right? So what you could see is all about Jira. So it's Jira software where all updated in the Jira software right in the front. So apart from the advantage under Jira software is to add. Please mute yourself, Patrick. There is some noise coming. Please mute yourself. If you have any query, you can unmute.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Any queries, you can unmute. Thank you. So this is about the Jira software, what I was showing you. It's a software which is normally used for bug tracking, followed by the project management and all, right? So managing the tracking, the progress of the work, bug tracking, all these, this Jira software is being used. Now, when it comes to the Jira software, it has advantage where we can create projects in Jira, followed by adding people to the Jira software. Means whoever are under the project of Jira, everybody can join in Jira board, right? So it's a dashboard where people can join into this. Means people can add, means if let's say that we have 3 different people. We have product owners, we have Scrum Master followed by Scrum team, right? So 3 different people will be there. Normally we have one product owner, Scrum Master will be one member, followed by the Scrum team members will be of 7, right? So all combination of developers, testers, all these put together, it will be somewhere around 7 people. Now, when it comes to Jira, in terms of the development of the work is concerned, the Jira software is something where a product owner responsibility is to create a roadmap, creating epics, followed by epic, writing down the user stories. This is what generally in product owner do. Okay, because product owner will have different responsibilities. I'm texting on the chat box so that you can see whatever I'm doing. Right. So we have 3 different roles. 3 roles in Agile, right? The first role we call it as product owner. Second role will be called as Scrum team, followed by the third role we call it as Scrum Master, right? So 3 different roles you could see: product owner, Scrum team, followed by Scrum Master. Now, product owner is the person who define the goal and vision of the product. Who define the goal and as well as vision of the product. At the same time, product owner is the person who will be creating epic. This is what generally the product owner do. Means product owner defines the goal and vision of the product, creating epic, and developing user stories. Understood, right? So this is what generally a product owner do in real environment. Right? So product owner will develop user stories and all everything here. Whenever the product owner has developed user stories. These user stories will be provided with some story points. If you want, you can make a notes of this, right? So whatever the points I am mentioning, you can make a notes of it so that it will be useful for your references in future. So whatever the user stories are we writing, every user story will be giving some story points. So this is what usually happens. So after that, all the user stories, because writing down the user stories is a continuous process, right? So it is not a one-day job. Writing down the user stories is a continuous process. Hence, whatever the user stories we have written will be kept in product backlog, right? Will be kept in product backlog. Now, there are two different backlogs you see in Agile environment. One is product backlog, second we call it as sprint backlog. Understood, right? One is product backlog, second is sprint backlog. Now, what is product backlog? Product backlog, it's a repository to store all the user stories. All the user stories or the features we are prioritizing for development. Understood, right, Patrick? Right. So this is what generally a product backlog stands for. So product backlog is a repository. It will be used as a repository where we can store all the user stories, features, and all everything into that. This is what usually product backlog stands for. Now, once product backlog was done, once the product backlog we have created the product backlog, from here the sprint planning will be initiated, right? Sprint planning. So whatever I have explained so far are the responsibilities of a product owner first. Fundamentally, product owner's responsibilities are these, whatever I have mentioned. Now, this is where sprint planning comes into picture. Once we put all the user stories and features and all everything in a product backlog based on the prioritization, what normally we do is we do sprint planning. Understood, Patrick, right? We do sprint planning. This sprint planning explains us about how to develop the sprint. This is what generally the sprint planning will be done. Normally, this will be managed by the Scrum Master with the help of Scrum team. Okay, this will be managed by the Scrum Master with the help of Scrum team. So, Scrum team has a final authority on sprint planning, right? What are all user stories are we using in the existing sprint? How much time it will be taken? Again, this time based upon the user story points what we have given, right? So because every user story must be accompanied with some user story points. So based on the story points what we have given, these user stories again will be converted into user stories will be converted into tasks. Understood, right? So feature epic. In epic we have user stories. Every user stories will have different tasks. Understood, clear, Patrick, right? So tasks. Now this task effort estimation will be done by the team members, right? For example, we are creating a login page. Assume that user story is what login page is what user story is. Now, what are the tasks in this? Tasks are nothing but you need to create front page designs, right? You need to develop code, database designing, all these things comes under tasks, right? So these are the different tasks which are involved when we are developing the user stories, right? So this is so user stories will be divided into different tasks. Effort estimation will be calculated on the task, right? This is how generally the structure will be followed. Now, whatever the scrum, whatever the sprint are we going to plan, this sprint planning normally done by the scrum team members with the help of scrum master and all that, right? So both will work on that and they start doing the development of sprints, all that. So after sprint planning, the next we call it as daily scrum, where it's a regular scrum meetings will be conducted. I'm writing here. The next ceremony called as daily scrum, where we conduct regular meetings about 15 minutes every day. 15 minutes every day. In this 15 minutes, we discuss about what we did yesterday, what you're going to do today, what are our challenges. All this will be discussed in the daily scrum meeting. Understood, right? So this is what generally the daily scrum stands for. Normally, this will be conducted by the scrum master, managing by the and attending by the scrum team members, right? Scrum team members will attend, followed by the scrum master, where they will be discussing about what is the work we have completed yesterday, right? What will be our work? All these will be discussed here in here. Now, once the daily scrum is complete,
Raj, I have a question.
please go ahead.
Okay. Currently, where I work, the business analyst is basically running the daily stand-ups, and I am going along with that because I don't want to interrupt a standing process. What is your opinion about that?
See, fundamentally speaking, in agile environment, please make a note of this point.
Mm-hmm.
In agile environment, there will be no role as project manager or a BA.
Sorry,
we don't see any kind of role as business analyst or project manager in agile environment, right? First point to be noted with. Normally speaking, no business analyst role will be there in agile usually. Okay, if for example, if you are a business analyst, right? If you are a business analyst earlier, now either you will be acted as a product owner, or if you have project management experience, something. This is how generally the process will be. But in some cases, usually, if depends on the requirements, depends on their need, in agile, we don't see any business analyst, right? Everything is only a product owner or a scrum master will do all that. Managing the scrum meetings, everything will be handled by the scrum master, not by the business analyst. In your organization, a business analyst is managing all that. That is exempted, right? That is exempted. Normally, managing Scrum team, everything will be done by Scrum Master, not by any other role apart. Because Scrum Master is a person who will be knowing about in and outs of the project. Clear, Patrick, right? Agree? Do you understand or not?
I agree. I agree with everything that you said fundamentally. The reason is that I stepped into an existing situation when I hired on with this job 3 weeks ago, where the business analyst is the JIRA expert. And so he set up the JIRA board, and he for the last 3 months, he has been running the Scrum meetings. I know how to run the daily stand-ups. I just don't have a strong awareness of running the JIRA board. So I have, which is the reason why this class is important to me, because I want to run the JIRA board so that I can then take over the Scrum meetings. I can take over them right now and allow the business analyst to run the JIRA board. I just wanted to kind of give you some background as to why I asked the question around, the business analyst. I believe the business analyst, my opinion is the business analyst is the support of the product owner.
Yeah, I understand the question what you said, because due to the reason of the business analyst who was experienced as in Jira, hence I think he is managing that in your project.
Yes.
Because that is, I told you, right? So it is an exemption case, because I cannot comment on it. It's an exemption case.
Okay.
Because
yes.
as far as your explanation, what I understood was that you means in your team there was no person who is experienced in Jira board. You were managing the Jira board and all, right? So I think for that reason you have taken.
Yes.
But normally speaking, you don't see any business analyst, and no business analyst will do this Jira board management. But in your case, Scrum Masters and all, everything doesn't have any experience in Jira. Hence, I think that job is being doing by the business. I understand.
Yes. Yes.
You will be knowing how to manage the Jira board and all, everything in these sessions. What are the sessions I'm conducting, you will be learning all that. Okay. And whatever the concepts I'm explaining now are the basic concepts of Agile and Jira, right, in connection.
Yes.
I'm going on to the project because I cannot, if I can go directly onto the project, any small basic doubts you have and all, everything will be confused. Hence, I'm giving you the clarity on the basics. Then I'm going to the project again. Here, Patrick, right? Now,
yes.
yeah. Now, this is what generally the daily Scrum meetings will be conducted. Once the daily Scrum meetings conducted, there will be another meeting called as sprint review meeting. Where in the sprint review meeting we try to review that process, whatever the progress of that. Followed by this, there is a concept called sprint retrospective meeting. Performed here means whenever the sprint is completed, we do the retrospection. Retrospection stands for what we have done so far. Was properly achieved by us or not? Is there anything we want to add on, new things and all, everything onto the next sprint? This is all we do in sprint retrospection. This is what we call it as sprint retrospection is all about. So these are the Scrum ceremonies are there in Agile environment. So a Scrum Master is a person who will be helping Scrum team right from the sprint planning till managing the retrospections. These are the activities will be played by the Scrum Master. Clear, Patrick? Understand?
Yes, clear. It's clear.
Right. Now, you may be asking one question here, Raj, as I mentioned you, there are user stories, right? So how user story development will be done by the product owner, and how to write user stories. What is the standard we need to follow to write down the user stories, right? So this may be the question you may have. Understood, right? Right or not, right? You may have this doubt. What is user story and how to write down the user stories on that? User story, nothing but, first of all, let us know what is user story and how to write it. Start whatever the requirements you are going to develop. To explain this in a shorter format, user story will be used. If you want to write down the user story, there is a template we follow. It's called as a system user, the kind of action we are performing followed by the result. This is what generally the template we follow when we are writing the user story in Agile, because writing down the user story will be having a template, right? So you cannot write down the way we want or we require. There is a template which will be followed by us to do that. Now, if you want to write down the user story in Agile, I am taking one example.
Raj, are you there? I can't hear you. I cannot hear you, Raj. I cannot hear you. I cannot hear you.
Now, I am taking an example, one, for creating a login page. Okay. Right. So this is what the example I am taking now. Understood? Clear, Patrick? Right. Example one, creating.
Raj, I could not hear you. Creating the login page. Okay. Yeah,
Creating a login page.
I had lost you. I lost you for 3 minutes, Raj.
I didn't say anything on the time. I didn't say anything.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Example one, creating a login page. Now, if you want to create a login page, the user story will be as follows. As a system user, I want you to create login credentials so that I can use the system, right? So this is a three-step procedure we follow when we are writing a user story. System user, because whenever we write a user story, we think from the end user perspective. Understood? Clear, Patrick? Right? We think from the
Yes,
end
Raj.
user.
Hello. Yes, that is clear, Raj. One observation, just to make sure. The user stories are created by the product owner. They should be clear, short,
Yes.
and concise. They should be clear, short, and concise, meaning not very long. Should be just very easy and simple for someone to understand.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
The answer is because we don't write detailing. Detailed requirements will not be written in user story. User story will be something very crisp and very simple, right? So that is how generally user story quality is. The reason why whenever we're writing down the user story, we follow a three-step procedure where it is as follows. One, as a system user. Second, action followed by result. Understood? Clear? Understood or not?
Yes, yes, it is clear. Three
Generally,
requirements. System user, three requirements. System user, what was the second one?
I want you to create login credentials. That is what the action developer has to perform, right? Using the system is what the result is. I will write down here so that you will be understood better. Just a moment. User story will be written like this. As a system user, I want you to create login credentials so that I can use the system, right? So this is how generally the user stories will be written. Understood, Patrick? Right? This is how generally
Yes.
user story will be written.
Yes.
Now, you ask me one thing, Raj, why are we mentioning as a system user? What was the reason behind that? Whenever we write user stories, we always write from the perception of the end user, whoever the end user are. He may be a system user, he may be a person who do database designing, or he may be a person who is taking care of user interface designs, whoever they are, whoever the user is. So based on the user perception, user story has to be written. Now, what he is a system user is a user. What system user he wants to do? System user wants to use the system. This is what we call it as result is. Understood, right? This is what we call it as result. Now, if a system user wants to use the system, what is required? We need to create login credentials for that. That is what we call it as action, which need to be performed by the Scrum team. Understood? Clear? Very clear or not?
Clear. Clear. It is clear. It is clear.
Now, user story you understood well, but here we never discussed about how, right? Is that how to create and all that? Is that we have discussed? We haven't discussed. Am I right or not? Right? So we haven't discussed so far. The reason why whenever we write user story, along with user story, there will be a connect called as acceptance criteria, right? Because every user story will be accompanied with acceptance criteria. We have to write down acceptance criteria for every user story. Okay. Normally, this acceptance criteria you don't see when we are writing on Jira, right? So whenever we are writing on Jira board, you don't see acceptance criteria. But when we are preparing documentation, right? So whenever we are writing documents in Word and all that, there must be an acceptance criteria for every user story. Acceptance criteria nothing but how to accept this. This is what we call it as acceptance criteria stands for. Understood? Clear, Patrick? Right? This is what we call it as acceptance.
Yes.
How to accept the user story. This is what we call it as acceptance criteria stands for. If you want to write down the acceptance criteria, it is as follows. Username and password. There must be two fields for username and password. Right, so next there must be two fields for username and password. Next, need to have a submit and cancel buttons, right? We need to have submit and cancel buttons, right? We need to have two buttons. One is for submit, second is for cancel. Next, there must be a provision to retrieve the password if we forgot. At the same time, need to have an option for new registration. Okay, this is how generally the acceptance criteria will be written for every user story. Clear, Patrick? Right? So any user story must be combined with acceptance criteria for sure. Acceptance criteria must be written for each and every user story, which is something essential and important when we are working on the story development. Is it clear, Patrick?
Yes, it is clear. Yes.
Right. So this is how generally the user story development will be done. Now I am opening a Jira board, so I'll be explaining this thing and all everything to you so that you'll be understood better. Now, as I told you, there are different projects which can be created here, right? So we can see all the projects whichever are there in Jira. So whatever you could see, all these are that, right? ATM system, auction management, cloud-based point of sale system, cloud POS, e-commerce portal, loan management. All these are there. Now, you will be having an option called creating a project, right? So you can see a project name called as creating a project. Now, what I am doing is I am creating a project wherein by clicking on create, right? Create a project. You can see an option called create project here, right? So create project where, so whenever we are clicking on create project, you will be seeing three things. One is, are we using Kanban? Or is it Scrum you are using, or is it for bug tracking, right? It will be asking three different requirements to us. Now, I'm selecting Scrum here, okay? I'm selecting Scrum. Scrum as a template I am selecting. Understood? Clear, Patrick, right? I'm using a template for Scrum to develop the project. Now, whenever we are going to develop the project, there will be two things. One is team managed, second is company managed, right? If it is team managed, it is simple for us to develop the project, right? So you don't see any difficulty in doing it. But it's a company managed, it is for the large scale projects, right? So wherein configuration, Jira configuration, everything will be used in it, right? So because that setup and all everything will be done by the Jira administrators. Jira admins will do all that. Which one? This company managed project, all that. So hence what I'm doing, that too, this is an advanced feature, because where we have to, whenever we have full versions, right? Whenever we have a full version of Jira, then this company managed and all everything is being used. Otherwise, this is all simply a team managed one. Clear? This is all simply a team managed one.
Yes.
Now I'm selecting a team managed one here, right? Select a team managed project. Now selecting a team managed project where we have to mention the name of the project, right? We have to mention the name of the project here. Means you need to mention the project name, all that. Now I'm preparing a project relating to something like online shopping portal. Okay, right? So this is, assume that this is what the project we are doing, right? Online shopping portal means we are creating an online shopping portal for one of our client. Okay, now whenever we have written this name, you can see it will be converted as a key, right? OSP stands for online shopping portal in short. Now I'm clicking on next here, right? You could see clicking on next. So whenever I'm clicking on next, see, you can see here the Jira project was successfully created. Clear? Are you clear or not, Patrick? Right?
Yes, clear. Yes, clear.
You can see project was created successfully. This is what it was showing here. Now here connect your project where we don't have any project assets, right? Because we are doing it right from the beginning. Hence I am clicking on skip, right? Skip. Why? We are doing it from the beginning. Okay, now for online shopping portal we are developing. Now we have to identify the features for online shopping portal. I am searching out in Google, right? Features for online shopping portal. Okay, features, because we have to write down the features and functionalities, right? These of online shopping. If we get anything online, so that we will be copying those, and on that we write user stories on that. Okay, now features and functionalities of online shopping portal. Features of e-commerce website. We will take some features and functionalities from Google, and what we can do is we will keep all these in the Word document. From there we start writing epics, user stories, all that. Is it clear, Patrick? Is it clear now?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay.
But you're on a Google website right now. Is that where you want to be?
Means I want to take down the list of features and functionalities for online shopping. So for that I am doing.
Okay.
This is because this is not the real project, right? Instantly we are doing it.
Yes.
Right? We are creating a. So what are the features, functionalities are there from Google? I am searching, right?
Yes.
So that takes it, because it's a sample project we are doing, right? It's a sample work.
Yes.
This is for training purpose we are doing. Hence, I'm taking all this from Google.
Okay.
So we write user stories on our own, right? So we are taking some simply functionalities we are taking. That's it. We are not taking anything apart. Right. Let us take these things. Okay. So these are the e-commerce features. So these points I'm taking. Okay. These are the features I'm taking. Right. So these are the features I'm taking here. Right. So what are those features? One, mobile website option is one feature. Second, these are the features for e-commerce business. Right. Second, free or for advanced navigation and search options, functionalities, superior photos. So these are the different features for the e-commerce business. Agree, right? Now, what are we doing? These are the features. These features will also be called as epics. Will also be called as epics. Epics. Now, what epic? This is what we call it as epic. Stands for epic, right? This is what epic stands for. Epic. We call it as epic, right? So now what I'm doing is I'm writing down the epics. What are the epics? Mobile website option is one epic. Mobile website option. Can you see this?
Yes, I can see.
It is slow. 1 minute. We will wait because you could see the Word document here, not the Jira software. Mobile website option is one epic. Next, free or competitive shipping options. Right? This is the second one. Now the third one, advanced navigation and search functions. Advanced navigation and okay. Now superior photos and images option, we'll leave it. Detailed description.
Okay.
Right. Next. Customer reviews of the product.
Okay.
Last guest checking option. Understand? Clear?
Yes.
Patrick. So these are epics we have created. Okay. What we have to do? We have to write down the user stories for the epics what we have created, because again here there is an option called plus, right? You can see an option. If you can click an option here, you could see an option called create child issue. Child issue nothing but user story.
So that green, that green bar, that green box lets you know that there's a user story tied to that epic.
Here we write down the user story.
Yes.
Like this. Like this. Understand?
Yes, what needs to be done. Mhm.
Every epic will have multiple user stories. If you want to write down the user stories, you have to click here plus, and you can write down as many user stories as you want under the first epic.
Okay.
So this I am going to tell you tomorrow, right? How to create user stories and all everything. Because what we have done today is creation of epic in roadmap.
Right.
We have created six epics we have created. For all the 6 epics, we will write some user stories for every epic. Then roadmap planning will be done, followed by this backlog. All these will be taken into next level.
All right.
Clear, Patrick?
Yes, it is clear. What we have done here was, so what we have done is we have created the roadmap with
We haven't
six
created the
epics.
roadmap. No. We haven't created the roadmap yet. In roadmap, what we have done is we have created only epics, right? We
Oh,
have to
epics.
write user stories. After user story creation, then roadmap creation will be done after that.
Okay. So okay. Understood. I understand. Yes, I understand. We have 6 epics on the
Yes.
roadmap.
Roadmap?
We have 6 epics on the roadmap.
Yes, we haven't created roadmap yet. We haven't completed the roadmap, right? We haven't completed.
Right.
What we do is we have created a roadmap. In that we have written the epics.
Yes.
Again, we have made down the user stories. Then roadmap creation will be done.
Yes.
Right, Patrick? We'll meet tomorrow. We will meet tomorrow at the same time. Okay?
Okay.
Right, Patrick? See you then. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Right.
Okay. Raj, I can't hear you.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So are we are finished for today?
Yes, we finished it for today.
Okay. Thank you. One question. At some point will you let me create epics and user stories? Will you let me test drive also?
Yes. Why not? Why not? Because this session will be under recording, Patrick. This recording will be shared to you. Okay,
Okay.
class recording.
Okay.
So you can practice on your way, on your own, and you can tell me whether you have completed or not successfully, so that I'll guide you. No problem.
Okay.
Because this sessions, every session will be under recording. Recording will be shared to you. Okay. You
Okay.
can go through the recording and you can do your own practice. If you done successfully, fine. Or if you find any difficulty, you can always ask me in the next session.
Thank you. Understood.
Right, Patrick?
Okay.
See you then.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Right.